Hi, I'm Torte de Lini. When it comes to playing as Infernus, understanding that you're a spirit hero through your weapon damage output is essential. While Infernus doesn't have a lot of burst damage similar to other heroes, his damage over time burning debuff melts enemies within seconds, and the hero is ideal for players who have relatively good aim and are confident in a 1 vs 1 setting. What's more is Infernus excels at split pushing trooper waves easily, relying on his burning debuff to finish the job, as well as he can rotate around the map with his flame dash quickly to escape or join any small skirmish throughout the mid game. Infernus' playstyle can be summed up as one of the main consistent damage dealers in your lineup, where his focus is to land as much of his burning damage over time effect on his enemies as possible and let that debuff do the rest of the work when Infernus no longer has line of sight on the enemy. Throughout the different stages of the game, you'll find Infernus split in his roles leading up to the late game, where he'll need to farm as much as possible to hit his mid to late game item timings, but also wants to take every opportunity of a fight where he knows he's at an advantage and ideal position to finish enemies off. During the early game, Infernus focuses on securing last hits, but does it slightly different. Since his ammo is average at best, he relies on his afterburn skill to proc his damage over time burning debuff on troopers until they're near death to then last hit the trooper and then secure the spawn's soul. This helps mitigate overspending on Infernus' limited ammo while making the most use of his burning damage per second debuff. By relying on this style of last hitting and lane management, Infernus is then more free to spend his ammo on harassing the laning enemies or to target other troopers who are near death to secure the last hit. In the mid game, Infernus' main focus is to secure farm and only take fights where he is confident he can secure the kill with ease. Otherwise, Infernus' strength comes from his efficiency to farm both trooper waves with his flame dash and afterburn, but also when farming neutrals, as his catalyst and afterburn makes quick work of them. Because of this, Infernus can split push lanes easily while relying on flame dash to pull back when he senses an opponent may be approaching. Nearing the late game, most of Infernus' abilities are on standby until needed. His flame dash is held onto unless it is to reposition because an enemy has closed the gap on him, or to serve as a delivery for his ultimate ability Concussive Combustion stun, which means that Infernus is not committed to a target. Otherwise, Infernus really just focuses on his aim and outputting Afterburn's burning effect to reliably deal damage on his targets even if they pull back on the fight, as the damage over time burn continues to persist. Skill build breakdown. Infernus' 4 abilities revolve around dealing and amplifying his spear damage in the form of his burning damage debuff. 2 of Infernus' abilities deal the burning damage debuff, Afterburn and Flame Dash. His main ability, Afterburn, builds up a burning damage over time damage debuff whenever you apply weapon damage to an enemy. The farther you are from an enemy, the more bullets it requires to proc the burning effect. Similarly, headshots require less bullets to build up the burning effect, while distance no longer applies to refresh that debuff once it has already started occurring. This ability is your main form of damage delivery, and when farming troopers or neutrals, you want to focus on having the afterburn burning effect apply before shifting your focus on other targets. You are then juggling your limited ammo to keep the burn going until that unit is slain. Infernus' second form of burn output is through his second ability, Flame Dash. Flame Dash is both your escape and damage dealer. So the challenge is understanding when you want to use this ability to close the gap on an enemy and commit to slaying them versus keeping Flame Dash in your back pocket in case you need it as an escape. As mentioned before, Flame Dash can also be used to maneuver between lanes and neutral camps, as well as to quickly wipe trooper waves to farm and push the wave back to the enemy's side. Though Infernus doesn't have any real burst abilities, his other 2 abilities, Catalyst and Concussive Combustion, are his 2 crowd control utilities that also help secure and amplify his burning damage output. Catalyst is his damage amplifier that also slows. You can cast Catalyst while using Flame Dash, allowing you to close the gap on enemies to then burn for a much higher amount of damage. What's more is that Catalyst slows opponents as well as keeping them within your range and unable to as easily escape from your aggression. Concussive Combustion is your final ability. It's a delayed, large AoE stun ability that deals damage, and its value is situational because it requires Infernus to be near his opponent to land the ability. Late game, during those team fights, you are typically playing safe and afar so you can output your burn damage over time effect securely. When getting ganked by enemies, you can pop Concussive Combustion to either force the enemy to commit and fight you, knowing you'll stun and potentially kill them, or they could spend their time running away, where you'll Flame Dash to keep on them and then stun them. Alternatively, it can be great as a counter initiation when jumped by Dynamo's ultimate ability, or when Lash is seeking to throw you down on the floor to then finish you off. Also really reliable to steal Rejuvenator or even protect it from enemies who want to steal it. So a typical ability combo for Infernus is to open with Flame Dash with Concussive Combustion to chase and stun the enemy, while Infernus casts Catalyst to amplify the damage the enemy as you lay damage with Afterburn and proccing its burn effect. In terms of ability unlocks, we prioritize Afterburn first as it is our main damage dealer and serves both to ensure that last hits are landing on troopers, but also as a way to punish out of position enemies and keep them punished should they reveal themselves in the lane. So long as your opponent is affected by the burning debuff, any bullet you land on them will refresh that duration. You unlock Flame Dash second as an additional damage over time effect on enemies, or if need be, to escape from any danger you might be feeling in the lane while also tagging enemies one last time with the burn the moment they try to get near. Leveling your abilities is heavily geared towards damage output, so typically Infernus players are maxing out Afterburn first, as the last upgrade offers massive damage, while maxing out Catalyst as that'll be around the time Infernus will start farming harder, taking neutral camps, and Catalyst offers lifesteal at the second upgrade for sustain and more damage at its final level. You can opt for 2 early upgrades into Flame Dash if you want the extra damage because it is a massive upgrade, while players usually ignore upgrading Concussive Combustion because it runs contrary to how Infernus wants to fight, with some distance against his enemies, and most Infernus players are focusing on the later parts of the game, whereas Concussive Combustion is much easier to pull off when the scrimmages are small and with less enemy targets. Item build breakdown. Infernus' items revolve around mostly to emphasize the damage over time debuffs while increasing the potency of your afterburn burning damage. During the laning stage, items to help mitigate your ammo issues while also elevating your spirit damage of your afterburn like Ammo Scavenger and Infuser go hand in hand, as the Ammo Scavenger rewards you for every soul you secure by giving back your ammo for it, but also provides stacks of spirit, meaning you could then use that ammo and extra spirit to lay down afterburn on the enemy, knowing it will deal more damage. Pair that with your laning item Infuser, and you have Infernus suddenly without much ammo issues and an active that gives him more spirit power and spirit lifesteal. So basically you are stacking up spirit power with Ammo Scavenger before going hard on your enemy when activating Infuser for a final top off of spirit power and getting spirit lifesteal to win out most 1 vs 1 fights when using the Flame Dash with your afterburn and catalyst to amplify all that together. Don't forget about Enduring Spirit and Sprint Boots as being valuable additions. Towards the mid game, Infernus starts looking at items that increases afterburn burning damage. Items like Soul Shredder Bullets and Mystic Vulnerability are a vicious cycle where each bullet amplifies your spirit damage, which in turn has their spirit resist reduced, leading the enemy to take even more damage and give you higher spirit lifesteal. What's more is that throwing in items like Duration Extender and Spirit Lifesteal furthers these effects even more and amplifies your sustain, and this is what gives Infernus so much farming capabilities where he can take down neutrals fairly quickly and move on to next camp while these units burn to death. In terms of additional footwear, Kinetic Dash is a popular pickup for Infernus to help him maneuver between the lane and neutral camps quickly and provides additional ammo and fire rate, helping him reach afterburn on each of his targets quickly without needing to reload. Fleetfoot can be an alternative. Now Infernus' centerpiece item is Toxic Bullets. Similar to Afterburn, Toxic Bullets builds up a bleed debuff where enemies will take damage equal to a percentage of their health and reduces their healing over time. So not only is this item very appealing against tanky enemies, but it is your entry to take down hard neutral camps as they have a lot of health. It's important that when farming neutrals that you fire at a target just enough for the debuff effects to occur before you move on to another target. This way you can have enough ammo in your clip to burn and bleed everyone without needing to reload yet. What's more is that Toxic Bullets takes about the same amount of bullets to cause the bleeding as does Afterburn's burning. So Infernus' commitment to have targets burn is all the same with bleeding, and all those items you have bought in the mid game also apply to both effects, doubling Infernus' damage over time output. Late game, Infernus takes all those debuffs from his bullets and spreads it around with Ricochet, Inhibitor, and Leech. Ricochet has your bullets bounce a percentage of their damage and affects one target to nearby additional targets. So that bleed burn combo we mentioned will now affect more enemies, even those initially out of your reach. The Inhibitor is another debuff that spreads with Ricochet, so now you are bleeding, burning, slowing from an Inhibitor and reducing the damage of multiple enemy heroes all with just your bullets. The Leech then takes all that damage you're outputting and gives it back to you in spirit and bullet lifesteal, keeping Infernus more than healthy to engage in a long fight. If the match goes truly late and with this much influence in team fights, Infernus becomes a prime target for your enemy team, and so tanking up may be necessary. Throughout all your previous items, you have been slowly accruing additional health. With the lifesteal you are getting from Leech and Spirit lifesteal, you need to mitigate the damage you will be targeted with to ensure you can always out lifesteal it, so Spirit Armor and improved Spirit Armor might be necessary. Unstoppable is an option as well if you are getting stunned and disabled regularly, as Infernus always needs to be consistently dealing damage. Alternatively, items like Spiritual Overflow and Boundless Spirit, whether with or without Inhibitor, can be picked up if you just want purely more damage output, Crippling Headshot can be an option for those ultra late game matches where you need to ramp up your bullet damage output too while lowering an enemy's spear resist. Regarding situational items, pickups like Knockdown can be important to shut down high-flying targets like Great Talon and Vindicta. Healing Booster can also be necessary as they will give you even more lifesteal from your spell lifesteal item and Soul Shredder Bullets item if survivability is a big issue. Lastly, Titanic Magazine is an option for even more spear resist for Infernus while also giving you a massive amount of ammo so you are not stalled out from your fights by needing to reload. Okay, before I go, here are some final tips on how to play even better with Infernus. Now, number 1, when farming, focus on building up afterburn on all your targets as your ammo clip is short, but you need to commit a good chunk of bullets to have the afterburn and eventually toxic bullets proc. This is a reiteration of farming technique I mentioned earlier in this video. Number 2, rely on Flame Dash in the laning stage to also push out waves and activate Infuser for a massive spike in Spirit lifesteal and to push the wave out, saving your ammo to then harass the enemy with your afterburn proc. Number 3, be careful of Slowing Hex blocking your Flame Dash. Most enemies will pick up Slowing Hex fairly early on to be able to catch you out and nuke you down before you're able to respond or escape. An item like Debuff Reducer might be necessary. And lastly, number 4, Flame Dash doesn't cost the afterburn debuff, though the enemy is burning. But Flame Dash can be used to reset the afterburn debuff and essentially extend its duration. Alrighty, that's it for me. If I've genuinely helped you with this video and you want to see more, maybe please like and subscribe. Check out maybe becoming a paying member on my channel. Your support, whether with comments, sharing my videos, or becoming a paying member, really makes this channel possible. Check out my Twitch channel and subscribe to watch me to play, test, and learn Deadlock. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or additional tips and tricks that I might have missed, and I'll give them a heart so they float to the top for any players looking for more cool secrets on Infernus. Thank you.